So, uh, you know that feeling when you're shopping online, right? You've got this cart full of items,
Yeah.
and you finally hit checkout, and there's that little text box that says, apply promo code.
The best part of shopping.
Right. So you go to some random coupon site, you paste in a string of letters, hit enter, and suddenly your total drops by like 20 or 30 bucks.
It is such a good feeling.
It really is. It's like
Oh.
this instant, undeniable hit of dopamine. You feel like, I don't know, like you just won a tiny victory against the system.
Well, it's a thrill. I mean, we are totally wired to love a bargain. And as a consumer, seeing those numbers slash down, it feels like pure success.
Yeah, exactly.
But on the other side of that screen, right, behind the digital storefront, the reality of that transaction is completely different.
Totally different.
Yeah, the victory that you feel as a shopper, it often translates to a literal financial loss for the store owner.
Which is just such a wild disconnect,
Mhm.
The moment of maximum joy for the buyer is often this moment of invisible margin loss for the seller. And that brings us to what we're looking at today. We have this fascinating source material for our deep dive, focusing on a really fundamental tension in e-commerce. Basically, how businesses try to grow their sales using discounts without, accidentally giving away the house.
Yeah, it's a tightrope walk for sure.
It really is.
Yeah.
And right at the top of the notes we have today regarding this app called Discount Prime, there's a line that I think just frames the whole problem perfectly.
Oh, the promise line.
Yes. It says every discount is a promise and a cost.
A promise and a cost. I mean, it really captures the dual nature of running a promotion, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Because a store promises the customer value to, win their loyalty. But the cost side of that equation is incredibly difficult to track accurately.
Right.
So our goal with this deep dive today is to explore how businesses can actually grow their sales without quietly giving away their profit. And we're going to look specifically at how this tool, Discount Prime, tackles that puzzle.
Absolutely. And, for you listening, whether you're an online seller yourself or just a frequent online shopper like me, this breakdown is going to completely change how you view a digital storefront sales section.
It really pulls back the curtain.
It really does. So to understand what a tool like Discount Prime actually does, I think we first have to look at the baseline operating system of most modern online stores.
Right, the foundation.
Yeah. And a huge percentage of the internet runs on Shopify. For anyone unfamiliar, think of Shopify as like the central digital engine for a store.
Exactly, it manages everything.
Right. It manages the product listings, processes credit cards, and crucially, it holds the data on how much an item actually costs the merchant to make or buy.
And that underlying cost data is everything. I mean, it's crucial. And this brings us to what is essentially the fundamental illusion of e-commerce sales, which is confusing revenue with profit.
Oh, yeah. That's a huge trap.
It is, because most marketing tools and discount apps that sit on top of that Shopify engine, they only show a merchant the revenue.
Just the top line.
Right, they just show the total amount of money coming through the door. But Discount Prime, from what the material says, it's described as one app, 8 discount types, and 1 subscription. And it actually shows real profit.
Real profit.
Yeah.
Which seems so obvious, but it's apparently really rare.
It is rare. It pulls that profit data live from actual Shopify product costs, which means stores know exactly what each promotion earns in real time.
Let me try out an analogy here. Because reading through how these software ecosystems operate, it reminded me of like a really dysfunctional restaurant.
Okay, I love a good restaurant analogy. Let's hear it.
So imagine a massive, super busy steakhouse, right? You have a waiter out on the floor, and that waiter represents the store's marketing or discount app.
Okay, tracking with you.
The waiter wants to make the customers happy, so he goes up to a table and says, hey, I can give you 50% off our premium ribeye tonight.
And obviously the customers are thrilled. They're ordering the steak left and right.
Exactly. So the waiter's sales dashboard, his revenue looks incredible.
Right.
But the waiter never communicates with the kitchen.
Yeah.
And he never talks to the accountant in the back room.
Which is the Shopify inventory system.
Yes. The kitchen is still buying those premium cuts of meat at a full wholesale price. So the accountant sees that the cost of the meat, plus the cook's labor, overhead, all of it, is actually higher than the discounted price the waiter just charged.
Ouch.
Yeah. So the restaurant is losing money on every single plate, but the waiter is out there celebrating a record-breaking night in revenue.
That is honestly a highly accurate representation of the e-commerce blind spot. Historically, these apps are just siloed.
They don't talk to each other.
No, they only report the top line number. They'll say, hey, we generated $100 in sales from this coupon code.
Right.
But they don't subtract the $60 it costs to manufacture it, or the $15 to ship it, or the ad spend.
And retail margins are razor thin anyway.
Exactly. So by the time a store owner downloads all the separate spreadsheets from marketing, shipping, inventory, and then manually matches up those rows of data 30 days later, the damage is done. They've sold thousands of units at a loss.
Man, so what Discount Prime is doing, essentially, is forcing the waiter to talk to the accountant in real time.
Yes, instantly.
Because the material emphasizes that this app pulls data live.
Yeah.
It calculates real profit, not just revenue, the second a promotion is applied.
Right. By integrating directly with the base cost data, the merchant sees the net margin immediately.
That's huge.
It is. If a promotion pushes a product below the profitability threshold, the system flags it. There's no waiting until the end of the month to discover, a financial disaster.
Wait, let me ask you this, though. If these apps and tools are all part of the same digital ecosystem, why wouldn't my marketing software automatically talk to my inventory software? I mean, aren't these systems built to integrate?
You would hope so, right? But the reality of software development is that it's highly fragmented.
Oh, really?
Yeah, different companies build the discount apps, the loyalty programs, the email platforms, and they use different coding languages, different database structures. They just don't naturally communicate unless someone builds a specific, complex bridge between them. And because they don't communicate, you get this phenomenon that just quietly erodes a store's bottom line.
Okay, the documentation calls this specific phenomenon campaign overlap.
Yes.
And I have to confess, as a consumer, campaign overlap is like my favorite thing in the world.
Oh, of course, we all love it.
Right. Like if a website is running an automatic 30% off spring clearance sale, and I happen to have an old $20 VIP birthday coupon sitting in my email, I'm absolutely going to try and stack those deals.
Naturally. You want the clearance price and the birthday discount.
Obviously. But the material describes this from the seller's perspective, using this incredibly ominous phrase. It says, your margin erodes silently.
Yeah. It's a terrifying thought for a business owner. Let's break down the mechanics of how that silent erosion actually happens. An online store is essentially a dynamic web of automated rules. So the store manager sets up campaign A, which is, say, an automatic 15% discount on all winter coats to clear out inventory in March.
That makes sense.
Completely separate from that, the marketing team sets up campaign B. That's a loyalty program that automatically emails a $20 coupon to any customer who spent over $100 in the past year.
And both of those campaigns make perfect strategic sense in isolation.
Yeah.
Right. You need to clear old stock, and you want to reward loyal buyers.
Exactly. But then a customer comes along and puts a $120 winter coat in their cart.
Uh-oh.
The automated systems collide. Campaign A recognizes a winter coat and knocks off $18. Total is now $102.
Okay.
Then the customer applies their loyalty code from campaign B. The system accepts it and knocks off another $20. Final price is $82.
Wow.
Now, if that coat cost the store $75 to manufacture and ship, their expected profit just vanished.
So the store made what, $7 on a premium item?
Yep.
The machine just basically gave the margin away.
Precisely. And because it happens via automated logic, it is entirely silent.
There's no one watching it happen.
Right. No human manager is sitting at a desk reviewing and approving these double discounts. The software just executes the rules it was given. The notes highlight that campaign overlap is literally the single biggest hidden cost for digital storefronts.
Which totally explains why Discount Prime focuses so heavily on what they call a real-time detector.
Yes.
And the crucial detail here seems to be that it catches these conflicts before activation.
Catching it before activation is the entire ballgame.
Right.
When a merchant tries to build a new discount in the app, the real-time detector scans the rules of every other active campaign.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So if it sees that your new flash sale targets the same product category as your ongoing VIP rewards, it throws up a roadblock. It says, hey, warning, these two systems are going to overlap.
So it forces you to deal with it.
Exactly. It forces the business owner to decide proactively how those rules should interact. Do they stack? Does the customer only get the better of the two deals? You have to map the logic out before a single customer ever reaches checkout.
Okay, so a merchant has secured their baseline. They're tracking real profit based on actual costs. They've eliminated the silent margin erosion of overlapping campaigns.
Right.
But securing the baseline is only half the battle, right?
Right.
Because you also have to manage completely different types of customers who are shopping on the exact same website at the exact same time.
Yes, and that gets complicated.
The source material details how this application manages wholesale, which it calls B2B, and retail, which is DTC, side by side.
Let's quickly clarify those acronyms for you listening, just so we're all on the same page. B2B stands for business to business.
Right.
These are wholesale buyers purchasing products in massive bulk, maybe to stock the shelves of their own physical stores. And DTC stands for direct to consumer. Those are your everyday retail shoppers buying one or two items for themselves.
Got it. Now, the documentation states you can run unit pricing brackets for the bulk buyers and standard percentage off campaigns for retail, all from a single installation.
Which is incredibly efficient.
It is. But there's a specific mechanical feature here that I initially found totally counterintuitive. It says a store can set a minimum and a maximum quantity on every discount tier.
Yes.
Now, setting a minimum is obvious, right? Like you must buy at least 50 units to get the wholesale price. But why on earth would a store set a maximum quantity? If someone wants to buy 100 items, why would you build a fence to stop them?
It sounds contradictory, right? Like it goes against the goal of selling. But let's consider a real-world scenario.
Okay.
Say you operate an online store selling specialty coffee. Your regular retail price for a bag of coffee is $20.
Sure.
But you also have a hidden wholesale tier for local cafes. If they buy over 50 bags, they get a bulk rate of $10 a bag.
Okay. Makes sense.
Now, imagine an enthusiastic retail customer. Maybe they're buying gifts for a massive wedding, or some corporate event comes to your site and adds 60 bags of coffee to their cart.
That is a huge order. I mean, as a store owner, I'd be thrilled.
You'd be thrilled until you look at the receipt.
Wait, why?
Because if there's no maximum guardrail on your retail pricing tiers, the system simply sees a quantity of 60. It accidentally triggers the logic meant for your wholesale buyers.
Oh.
Yeah, suddenly slashing the price of that entire retail order to $10 a bag.
Oh, wow. I didn't even think of that.
Right. That retail customer was likely fully prepared to pay the standard $20 or maybe a modest 10% bulk retail discount. But because they crossed an invisible threshold, they tripped a wire meant for your B2B partners.
So they basically slipped into a deeper discount that was never intended for them.
Exactly.
Okay, so the maximum limit acts as a strict boundary line.
It acts as a fence. It keeps the retail buyers in the retail lane, even if they buy a large quantity for a wedding. And it keeps the wholesale buyers in the wholesale lane.
That's brilliant.
Yeah, so if a retail shopper wants to purchase 100 items, the maximum cap ensures they only receive the retail promotion. If they genuinely want the deep wholesale discount, they have to formally apply for a B2B account, which lets the merchant properly vet them.
Okay, so running these different logic paths side by side from a single app prevents the merchant from having to build two entirely separate websites.
Right.
And it protects the margins by ensuring the right price is always shown to the right buyer.
Exactly, regardless of what they put in their cart.
But getting back to the consumer side of things for a second, once you have all these protective measures in place on the back end, you still have to convince the shopper to actually click the buy button.
You do.
So how does this system actually manipulate the front-end experience to drive those sales?
Well, the protective back-end measures are essential, obviously, but they're invisible to the shopper. The front-end experience relies really heavily on behavioral economics.
Oh, interesting.
The source material outlines how the application provides over 35 battle-tested templates for things like Black Friday, flash sales, VIP rewards, and it has pre-built logic for complex deals like buy one, get one setups.
The famous BIGO deals.
Yep, BOGO deals with 4 different reward modes, and it has these visual widgets that directly influence buyer behavior.
Let's talk about one of those visual widgets, actually, because the live free shipping progress bar is something they mention.
Oh, a classic.
The material notes that this feature is designed to drive higher average order value, or AOV. And I have to admit, this specific psychological trick works on me literally every single time.
Oh, it gets all of us.
I'll be on a website, my cart is sitting at $42, and there's a bright progress bar at the top that says you're only $8 away from free shipping.
Yep.
And instead of just paying the $5 shipping fee, I will spend 15 minutes browsing the site to find like a $12 pair of socks I do not need just to fill the bar.
It is such a fascinating quirk of human psychology. We have this deep, totally irrational aversion to paying for shipping.
We really do. I hate paying for shipping.
Right. We view shipping fees as a sunk cost, like money that simply vanishes into the logistics network.
Mm.
But we view buying a physical product, even one we don't need, as gaining tangible value.
Right, even though it costs more.
Exactly. You are technically spending more total money by adding the socks, but your brain categorizes it as a better financial decision.
That is so true. It basically gamifies the checkout process. It subtly pushes you to add just one more item.
And for the merchant, driving up the average order value is a critical metric.
How so?
Well, it costs a business relatively the same amount in digital advertising to get a customer to visit their site, whether that customer spends $40 or $60.
Oh, okay.
So if a simple progress bar can push the shopper to that $60 mark, the profit margin on that specific customer improves significantly.
That makes a lot of sense. The documentation also mentions other built-in widgets like countdown timers and stock badges.
Right.
And I am always highly skeptical of these. I mean, when I see a badge that says only 3 left at this price, I immediately assume it's a fake graphic hard-coded into the website just to create artificial panic.
And you're not alone in that.
Yeah.
Consumers are highly attuned to artificial urgency now, and fake stock badges can actually damage a brand's credibility.
Totally.
But what differentiates a sophisticated system here is how it interacts with the back end. Because Discount Prime is directly tied into the Shopify inventory data, those stock badges are reflecting genuine scarcity.
Oh, really? So it's not just a trick.
Right. When it says there are 3 left, it is pulling that number from the actual warehouse count in real time.
Wow.
And genuine scarcity is an incredibly powerful conversion tool. If a buyer knows the inventory is legitimately low, they are far less likely to abandon their cart and go shop around.
And normally doing all of this, the BOGO deals, the
Yeah.
progress bars, the real-time stock badges, that usually requires a massive patchwork of different software plugins, right?
It does, which brings us right back to your restaurant analogy.
Oh, the waiter and the accountant.
Exactly. Historically, a merchant would install one app for the countdown timer, a second app for the free shipping bar, a third app to manage the wholesale pricing logic, and a fourth app to run the seasonal discounts.
That sounds like a nightmare to manage.
It is. And that patchwork ecosystem is exactly what causes the systems to collide, creating those massive silent margin losses we talked about.
So the waiter is promising free shipping, the hostess is promising a BOGO deal, and the kitchen is just, like, catching on fire.
Exactly. By consolidating all of those front-end visual widgets and all of the back-end pricing rules into a single installation, the system always knows the complete picture.
Everything is connected.
Right. It knows the base product costs, it knows the shipping threshold the customer just crossed, and it knows the exact discount being applied.
So there's no guessing.
None. So when the dashboard displays the return on investment for a specific campaign, it's not some bloated estimate based on top-line revenue. It's the real ground truth net margin.
You know, if we look at the closing statement of the source material, it argues that a tool like Discount Prime allows a digital storefront to grow with clarity, confidence, and real profit.
Yeah.
And after really examining the mechanics of how this software functions, those terms start to sound less like marketing buzzwords and more like literal descriptions of the engineering.
I'd agree with that. The clarity comes from eliminating the need to download and cross-reference multiple spreadsheets at the end of the month just to understand your business.
Right.
And the confidence is rooted in that real-time conflict detector, plus the strict minimum and maximum quantity fences.
Because it ensures your automated logic doesn't trigger a massive financial loss while you sleep.
Precisely. And the real profit is the result of forcing the system to calculate margins based on the actual Shopify baseline costs, rather than just celebrating vanity revenue metrics that hide a failing business model.
It's the difference between high-fiving your team over a $10,000 sales day and actually knowing if you made enough money to keep the lights on.
Exactly. It represents a real maturation of the e-commerce space. It's a shift away from just hacking together plugins to drive momentary traffic and moving toward engineering a sustainable, structurally sound retail business.
Which leaves a rather interesting question for you listening to consider. Now that we understand the invisible machinery governing these storefronts, specifically this phenomenon of campaign overlap and the silent margin erosion it causes, think about the last time you scored an unbelievable deal online.
We've all had one.
Right. You know the exact scenario. You stacked a clearance price with an email newsletter coupon, maybe you triggered a free shipping threshold, and you felt like an absolute genius.
Like you beat the system.
Exactly. But with sophisticated, consolidated applications actively scanning for these overlaps and resolving conflicts before they ever go live, are the days of the accidental, glitch-like mega discount coming to an end.
It's a great question.
It is something to ponder the next time you hit that checkout button, wondering if you've really outsmarted the system or if the digital storefront is finally wising up to us.